Okay, so I pulled out my already made starter out of the fridge. I let it warm up all day. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quarter cup of this, put it into a new jar, and then I'll show you what I do next. What I like to do is take a knife and kind of scrape out everything from this off of that. Get every last bit of it. Okay, then I'm going to fill this same one with warm water and dump it into the new one. Okay, so now that I have my water in there, I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to mix that really, really well. Once that's mixed really well, then we're going to add flour. So then the one you pulled out of the fridge, you still have some left in there. You can put the lid back on and you can pop that back in the fridge for later. Then I'm just going to take my flour. I just use regular white flour. You can use whatever flour you like. So I'm just going to make sure that it's mixed up and it's not really packed together. I'm going to take 1/3 of a cup and I'm going to pop that into this jar. Okay, and now what you're going to do is you're just going to mix that really, really well. So I like to just use the knife so that I can kind of scrape the sides of it.
I'm hungry.
Supper's cooking, sweetie.
I'm hungry.
Okay, just keep mixing it up, scraping the sides so that everything kind of ends up at like the bottom. So it should look like this, kind of like a thick consistency. Okay, so now this one, I'm just gonna lightly cover that with the lid that it comes with. Make sure you like leave a little bit of a gap. I'll show you. So just a little bit of airspace. I don't know if you can see that. I just leave a little bit of airspace there so that air can get to it. Just make sure your house isn't really, really cold. If it's really cold, you can get a warmer to put around your jar. Sorry about the kids. Now I'm going to leave that overnight so that it can rise. You can put a little elastic band around it to see how much it's risen. But I just leave that there. I let it rise overnight, and then tomorrow afternoon is when I'm going to do your next steps. All right, so it's the next morning. The starter has doubled in size. Now, because my starter, I had put it in the fridge on Friday, fairly active. So now when I check it the next morning, it has quite a few bubbles in it, okay? So now if it's been in the fridge for say a week and then you pulled it out, it probably wouldn't be as bubbly as that. But because it's bubbly like that, you can use it right now. However, I'm just gonna wait a little bit because I don't have time right now to do it. So I'm gonna do it a little bit later and I'll show you what to do next. All right, so now we're ready to make our bread, or at least the dough for it, okay? So you're gonna take a 1/4 cup, just follow the recipe, okay? So I take my 1/4 cup, I kind of just do like a heaping, so it's like overflowing, and then I just put that into my mixer bowl. Now this can go in the fridge, or you can leave it out and do the same process all over again, okay? So just put that aside. Now we are going to put some warm water in. Okay, I like to use this thing here. Actually, I'm gonna get a knife and just kind of scrape the sides of that. So scrape all that off. So like I said, just follow the recipe, but this is basically like the steps. So filling that with water. Okay. But follow the recipe for the measurements, okay? I kind of just know it now. All right, so there's my water and my sourdough, okay? So that's all I've done now. We put the sourdough in there with the water, okay? Then you're gonna take a whisk and make sure that it's really, really mixed up with the water. Okay, so just mix, 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 mix. So it should look like just like a milk, okay? So now that you've done that, we're gonna go and add 4 cups of flour. Okay, third ingredient, salt. I just use my hand. 2 teaspoons ish, so I kind of just eyeball that, okay? Now you're ready for the mixer. So you're gonna grab your dough hook, okay? Put that on. Pop your bowl on there. Make sure that it's locked and just set that to low. And we are just letting that mix until it's dough consistency. Okay, so now this is what it's going to look like just after I mixed it all together. Now this is like the lazy girl steps, because what you can do is you can let this rest for an hour or 2 and then mix again. But I'm lazy, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take it out of this bowl, put it on the counter, and I'm just gonna kind of shape that into a ball. It doesn't have to be perfect, and then I'm gonna throw it into another bowl. I'll be right back. I also use this thing to kind of clean out the bowl as best as I can. So you need to go grab yourself one of these bowl scrapers. It's gonna just make it so that you're not washing all that dough down the sink. Okay, now you're just gonna kind of work it into like a ball. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. And then what I did was I put olive oil all over the bowl. So I coated it and then I lightly dusted that with some flour, okay? Drop that in the bowl, literally just drop that in. Cover it up. You can just cover it with a plastic wrap or a damp towel. This is just what I do, is plastic wrap, and I actually have bowls with lids, so then I just put the lid on as well. And I let that sit overnight until tomorrow morning, okay? Happy bulk rising, and I will see you tomorrow. Good morning. We are ready to get our bread going to bake it. So that's what it looks like the next day. It almost filled the whole bowl. So we're just going to get that out of the bowl. So that's what it should look like, okay? So you can put a little bit of flour on your table here. So it should come out of your bowl pretty nicely, okay? And now we're gonna form the ball. So let me just kind of prop you up here so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just gonna kind of pull it on the table, counter, whatever, until it forms like a nice round top. Okay. So that's what it should look like after. It's just like a nice round ball. You can let that sit now for an hour to 2 hours so that it rises more, and then we're gonna bake it. Okay, so now is the time you can score your bread. I just use a serrated knife, and then I kind of just, you can just do whatever you want. So I can just do like little slits here, just to kind of give it like a cute little design. However, you don't have to, okay? Or you can just do like lines all the way across and whatever you want. Okay, so I have that in my Dutch oven. I am going to start my oven to 420. You're gonna cook it for 30 minutes covered, and then after 30 minutes, take the lid off and cook it for another 20 minutes and you're done.